What's going on? It's Wilmer Craven coming to you another day with another video. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Make sure you click that notification bell. Also, there's a description down below if you'd like to make a donation. We gladly appreciate that. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into this one. I figured I'd come down here and record this. It's probably like, it's saying it's like 1:30 in the morning. So I didn't want to kind of like sit on this joint because there's a lot of stuff that's been coming to my mind, and I write it down and I don't get down here. So, men, yeah, so I wrote it down, yeah. So what I got here is women operate and attract on beauty, men operate and attract on presence. So it's quite apparent to how females move, and everything they practically do is based upon their looks, beauty. That's pretty much the premise. Everything else then branches out from that. Just as well as the same way. Men, when you step in a room, it's his presence that is felt. Women generally don't get attracted to what he looks like for the most part. I mean, they are moved by it, but what captivates them is the presence. So these two essences are very essential to both men and women, in which it creates that harmonious balance. So, for example, when we see a man and a woman comes together based off of presence and based off of her beauty, and the beauty with a woman just doesn't necessarily have to be her look. It can also be combined with how she dresses, how she carries herself. All that adds to that component. So it's like it's an accumulation of quite a few things. And the example I was going to use would be Michelle Obama and Barack Obama. A lot of people who were taken by but they were taken by his presence, and they were taken by how she moved, her classiness, how she dressed, how she spoke, all that stuff, and it came together, and that's something what people idolize. So anytime a man and a woman comes together in that essence, they become idolized, and ultimately they become worship. Why? Because a man's presence ushers you into a place. And this is why I'm just so big on a man not seeking a woman to be his piece. Because when he has a presence to himself, he's commanding, he controls himself, he disciplines himself. All that adds to the component of his presence. So when you come in contact with this man, he's gonna more likely give you a sense of calmness, a sense of peace, a sense of reassurance. And he comes in with like, all right, we know when he steps in, things is gonna move and shake. So with that type of guy, he everything commands to his will. And when you then turn around and put her in the midst of his presence, it magnifies her beauty. So now not only is once she's in his presence, her beauty becomes even more magnified. This is why when people see two people together, they're attracted to those individuals, because it now magnifies everything. So his presence is now magnified because there's something in it that now is creating attention. So his presence is felt. So when you're in the midst of that, it's like, oh man, I feel this, blah, blah. So, but when you add her to that, now it's seen. The presence of him is now seen based upon the beauty of her. So this is why it's very important. Well, it's not, I won't say it's important. This is why when a man chooses a woman, he goes after the beauty, not really knowing it, but it works that way to where he becomes enhanced and she becomes enhanced. So we, as men, we go out for a beautiful woman because once she's in our presence, it becomes magnified. It's intensified. So our presence then is intensified because her beauty is now set in the midst of that. It's like setting a flower in a place where it's the most beautiful flower, and then you walk past and you see this. It doesn't matter if it was a barren wasteland. You're gonna automatically see that flower because where it's being sat. So it's very essential as a man to understand your presence. And a lot of times as men, we don't understand our presence. Like, your presence is felt the minute you walk through the door. Even with your own, when you decide to be in a relationship, you get married, your presence is felt the minute you've been gone all day and you walk through the door. Fresh in your relationship. As soon as you walk through the door, she's up. She'll turn around and say, I've been waiting for you just to get back. Why? Because she wanted to feel your presence. And sometimes we forget this. I myself have been guilty of it. You know, you have a long day and you're going through everything, and whether it's your woman or your children, as soon as you walk in the door, sometimes you have this tendency of not turning off what you was experiencing before you walked through the door. You just want to relax. But the fact of the matter is as soon as you walk through that door, your wife, your woman, and your children immediately wanted to feel your presence. Why? Because your presence left, and they long for it. This is why when I say, even if you're not into the Bible, there are key things in there that will stand out and help you understand relationship, because I look at it as a book of marriage. I look at it as a book of relationship, and it's stating that from the beginning to the end. The beginning starts with Eve in relationship. Then you start moving along through there with the Hebrews having a relationship with God, and that's all throughout the Old Testament. And then Jesus, Yeshua, comes on the scene, and he's talking about relationship with him. And then towards the end, it's about relationship. It's the whole thing is dealing with relationship. So anytime you start looking at yourself being the man, is which it states in there that we were shaped in the image of God. So being shaped in the image of God, if you've ever been to church, you've heard them say we want to usher in. Well, I won't say. It depends on what church you go. If you went to a Pentecostal church, you went to a apostolic church, a Kojic church, non-denominational, Baptist, those type of churches. I won't say Catholic because, and Presbyterian, they don't kind of really do that per se. But those are the ones I named. They were like, oh yes, we come to usher you into the presence of God. Same deal. What do? You then end up turning around and worship God. So it's quite interesting how the parallel is there, because if you are that dude, or like in this day and age, we like to say, if you're him, you're going to have moments to where it feels like your wife and your children are worshiping you. They adore you. And then when they speak of you, they speak in a manner where they highly praise you. That's like ultimate level that you can get. So how is that achieved? Well, you have to work on yourself, and you have to be confident. You have to have, as I always say, you have to have the skills and the tools in which you've gone through phases of your life, being taught by another man, wise man, putting you in position to become a man. And once you do that, you then start understanding it is who you are as a man. And when you start developing that, you slowly but surely, your presence is starting to it's being molded and shaped. And then when you start walking in different places, your presence is felt. You have confidence. You have self-esteem. You're not easily shaken. You're disciplined. You're unmovable. When you operate smoothly. You're unbothered. You're in control. And when you have those things that's shaped up into you to make up your character, having good character, your presence is felt. People look to be like you. This is why athletes have people idolizing them, because when they're on that court, their presence is felt. And people, what do? Some of them be super fans, and those super fans do what? They worship them. it's I know some people in regards to church are going to be say, oh, such should be worship. But when you really look at it, it's designed that way. It's designed for it to happen. So, there was something I was going to say that I can't remember, which made me actually get up to want to record this, but I should have jotted it down, but I spent so much time setting this up. Maybe I'll think of it, maybe I won't. And it was really key component to this topic. But yeah, the presence, man, as a man, you have to have presence. And as a man, you also have to understand that women are just simply going to move off of their beauty. I mean, there's no two ways about it. We see it online, we see it on social media, and how you see a lot of them just posting pictures and videos in relation to how they look. And they'll say it's not for us, but the harsh reality is it is for us in order to get in the right presence, to get in the presence of the right man. They want the right man. A lot of guys out here who jump, they can tell. They can tell who's not the right dude that they're actually seeking for, because they're again, because they're emotional, and emotions can feel. Their emotions is searching out for whoever it is that has a presence, a feel to themselves, to where they think they can become magnified, because females like to magnify things. They like to multiply things. So they're looking for the presence that's going to multiply them. So then they can turn around and multiply it even more, which is around them. This is why you have to be cognitive of the presence that you usher in. Because if you're not ushering the right presence, she's going to turn around and take your atmosphere and possibly turn it chaotic. This is why your presence is very important. And some females look for a guy who has a presence that is not positive. It may be negative. Why? Because she wants to feed off of negativity. Let's just cut it straight. Human beings feed off of negativity, and they feed off of positivity. They're going to feed off of whichever energy it is. Whichever spirit is moving, that's what they're going to feed off of. So if your presence is negative, you may attract a woman who feeds off of that. Now, you say, oh, it's her. No, it's not her. It's you. As a guy, it's you. And like I said, I mean, you may not agree with it, but I could pull another instance from the Bible with a story, which a lot of people just don't teach it right. But one of my favorite ones is the story with Jezebel. And it's not so much of the stuff that she's doing. It's a lot of stuff that people miss with that story. But the fact of the matter is, Jezebel doesn't. I tend to say this a lot. People deal with how evil she was, but that woman was one of the most perfect wives in the Bible, in which we look at being a wife, it's following your husband. It states in there that Ahab, which was her husband, the king, he was evil and wicked first. Before she met Jezebel, he was wicked and evil first. So his presence of being an evil king moved before she even came in contact with her. So what did she do? All she did was magnify his evil presence. So therefore, all she did was, all right, cool. He got this negative, I got this negative. We finna do this thing together. And they did evil together. They went out on a rampage together. Your presence and how you move, your character will determine what everyone else gets from being around you. Your atmosphere is then spread by your presence and her beauty. Whether her beauty is evil or whatever, it's going to spread, and your reputation will be known. Just in the case of what I said with Jezebel and Ahab. They both had a reputation, just as well as I said in the beginning, how people love Obama and the Obamas. And there were people who disliked them based on whatever field of politics or whatever you want to say. They disliked them. I mean, it's going to be one or the other. They're going to like you or dislike you, regardless. But your presence as a man is key. Her beauty is also key. But your presence can dictate how she moves with you. Like, I know a lot of guys, y'all like to deal with the issue of, oh, she needs to be submissive and blah, blah, blah. Look, man, when your presence is a certain way, the minute she starts liking you, she's automatically going to be submissive to a degree. It's key to knowing how to tap in to getting all of submission from her. And that's a daily task that you have to do. Because just as easy as it is for a person to like you, it's also easy for them to dislike you based upon what you do. So a woman is, like I said, she's looking for a certain thing in you because she desires the presence. As the church loves to say, they're married to God. So what are they constantly doing? They're constantly seeking the presence of God because there's a longing there. Being in the presence creates love. Like, people are like, oh, I want somebody to love me. No, the love transpires in the presence. And as a man, you're going to love the woman based upon the beauty that she shows you and that you see from her, and then how she moves in your presence. But your love for her is translated from how she does unto you, with you, in you. However, it's all determined on what she does because of your presence. You are the key. You're the key to everything. I don't care what people gonna say about female this and that, and how to want to do the patriarchy and all that other crap. The harsh reality is, as a man, you're the key. It's really that simple. You're the key. You're gonna dictate how everything moves. Now, there's some females that don't want it, that see that happen, but it still don't make a difference because, like I said, I mean, when you really dig in that story with Ahab and Jezebel, that woman was on one. She still fell in line with being a wife to that man. No matter how much you dislike her and how much of the fact that she was contrary to God, she still did what she was supposed to do, which was to her husband. She carried out his business. So your presence is key. And when that woman loves your presence and loves the essence of who you are, she's going to become subject to whatever it is that you desire to do. I mean, it's so obvious. I mean, a lot of guys, you're looking at certain things that they've done or certain things that they do, but they're like children. Children gonna mess up and do certain things that they shouldn't do. But at the end of the day, they'll come back to the parent and show love to their parent, even though they may hate the fact that you chastised them, put them on punishment, did something that they didn't like, or you took something from them and they didn't like it, and then they had their little hissy fit. Females do the same thing. Women are going to do the same thing. So all this getting upset about, oh, y'all just talking. They not just talking. They're telling you the truth right then. It may switch up and change. Why? Because they're emotional. Emotions change. Will change with the quickness. We like to call that Chicago weather, bipolar. 1 minute it's 50 degrees, and the next minute it's 10. It don't mean it just wasn't 50 degrees. It was legit 50 degrees. Now it's a whole 10 degrees 24 hours later. I mean, that's just a harsh reality. Females are saying things that they really do mean. They just don't know how to, do what they do. A lot of them don't know how to do what they want us to do, which is be consistent, because they're battling their emotions. They want to do certain things, but it's hard for them to do certain things. That's why your presence, being in control, mastering oneself, having discipline is essential. This is why I'm going to say this until I know I'm no longer breathing. I don't ask for them to be my peace. I bring that. I am that. That's what my atmosphere is about. I control that because I control me. And I'm real with me. I'm honest with me. You hear those things? Those are also things that females say they want from a guy. So when you're doing those things, it's easy for them to actually love and appreciate you. You just then have to tap into the getting them to see themselves for themselves. Now, a lot of females aren't going to see themselves for themselves up front. They're going to fight that. It's like a child sitting at a dinner table and you're giving them vegetables and they see that dessert over there. They're like, I don't want to eat this crap. I want the dessert. Females do the same thing in different form. So a lot of the stuff we're seeing is like, no. They're meaning what they say. It's just they don't want to eat the veggies. They want the cake, the ice cream. And if you allow them to have it, they're more than once, and they got in their way, they're going to try to throw a tantrum, hissy fit, be defensive or whatever to get the cake and the ice cream and not have the veggies. So you have to be smart enough and wise, cunning, manipulative, however you want to lace it, to get them to have this and serve them that. Because you just can't serve them that. And that's an issue that a lot of us do have as men. I myself know I had it in my young years. I was fixated on, we need this because this is more important. This is healthier. But you gotta give them this over here. Or it's gonna be like that child who finally gets exposed to the world. Like, I ain't never going back home. I want this over here because I don't never get it over here. But my parents was always giving me this, and they told me that wasn't good for me. But I tasted this, and this was great, and I loved it. No, I'm staying over here. We can't just give them the logic. And this is what they're begging for. They're begging to get more than our logic. So when they're in your presence, and they finally decide to, when they come into your presence and absorb the atmosphere and feel how it makes them feel and sees how it makes them look, you have to make sure your atmosphere and presence remains or even magnifies even more. It's work. It requires work. It's going to take work. Females are work. Children are work. Children are definitely work. Look, your child from the infant stages to preteen is different from preteen to going to the end of their teenage years. It's just a whole different. It is different. And there are instances in there where you can't stand them because they do contrary stuff. And then it weighs on you because you know they're getting close to adulthood, and if they don't catch such and such and such, it could be a problem for them. And you don't like that. It's the same thing with your woman. She's going to want to do things on her own. She's going to want to feel like she's proven herself to you. This is why sometimes in certain relationships that there's a competition going on. Because she's trying to prove herself to you. that she can handle this, she can do that. This is why females, they start having what we would call some type of crisis, and it's like, well, she wants to feel important because she's trying to prove herself. So she's now in your presence, wanting to be magnified. You have to learn how to sometimes expand your atmosphere. When you can expand your atmosphere and do it very smoothly, you can be like some of the guys who out here who manage to be in a relationship for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. And they'll tell you it wasn't all easy, because it's not going to be easy. Working is never easy. It's tedious. Sometimes it's hard because you hit new things that you don't know and you have to learn. But at the end of the day, as long as you consistently keep working, you'll consistently be rewarded. Now, the time frame of the reward is a whole different ball game, but you'll still be rewarded at some point. You just got to keep working. But yeah, man, the presence, man, you got to make sure your presence is felt as a man. You have to be confident. You have to be courageous. You have to be able to teach something. You have to be, and if you can teach something, you have to be able to do it at the same time. You just can't teach something and you're not doing it either. Eventually, you're going to look like a fraud. And they're going to see, well, you know what, you teaching all this, but I want somebody who can actually teach this and do it. I need to be able to see how this works. Show me how this works. Because a great teacher understands that some people learn by text. Some people learn by doing. Some people learn by seeing it. There are different aspects to how people learn. And a master teacher learns various aspects of how to teach. And as a man, you have to be able to do that. Because you want your presence to be able to magnify your family. That's an ultimate goal. Because you then become praised, you then become adored, you then become admired. I think that's what it was. It was about king. It was about kingdom. Yeah, it was something in regards to kingdom that I was thinking, and it tied into when I said something about when you walk in the door and your family, when your family sees you, and it's an instant, yeah, they get excited. Oh, I almost thought of it. I knew I would think of it eventually, but close to the end. Oh my goodness. Yeah, but even with that, it's I almost thought it. It's gonna bug me if I don't remember this and then remember it afterwards. I should have wrote that down before I came down here and got busy. But work on yourself. Work on improving yourself. Not every female is not going to be something you desire, or they're not going to be an assignment that you're willing to take on. Because you have to understand, are you willing to work? This isn't really taught enough in regards to, once you get a woman, she's going to take a lot of work. And once you get a woman and you have a family, it's going to take a lot of work. You're going to always be working until the day you die. Because they look for your leadership to magnify everything. Goes back to the presence. That's why a woman is clingy. That's why a woman wants to be under you. She wants the presence, because the presence magnifies her beauty, and it makes her feel a certain way, and it gives her attention. Because when they feel you, they see her. And when they see her, they feel you. It's harmonious. So make sure you do your due diligence to maximize yourself in every form possible. And it should be great. Well, hopefully it's great. You'll have days where you don't want to be bothered, man. I mean, I've had my days where I didn't want to be bothered. Look, sometimes they frustrate you. Sometimes they're not listening, and sometimes they are listening and they just get excited and they start cutting you off and keep talking. It doesn't matter if it's your woman, your mama, she's friends with you. They all do it. They all do it, man. And man, when you have that presence, man, it doesn't even matter if that woman has a man. It doesn't, man. Now she can keep it kosher and not be sexual with you, but your presence will make her come back and get what it is that she desires to get from you. Whether it's just your wisdom, your clarity, your presence will make her return. And this is how I move every single day. I make it my business to keep myself a certain way, because I know that my presence makes me important. It makes me have meaning because I'm being seek. I think that might have been what it was. It was what it was. It was the seek just triggered it. In correlation to the Bible. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you. And this part here was where I said it would tie back into how we relate to God. Man created in his image. So we like to say that the man is king and she's the queen, and your house is a kingdom. So if she's seeking you, seeking your presence, what are you going to do? You're going to like that she's seeking your presence. This is now when I said that whole love thing earlier. So once she starts seeking your presence, you're going to love that. So what then happens? You start acting as God does. You start adding all these things back to her, in which, what's the other scripture that was with? I put with that. There'll be, that's not it, but it's no good thing he will withhold from you. So when your spouse, or as a man, when you know your woman, the things that she desire, you're going to give it to her. Why? Because you know she's seeking you. And in that seek, you see that love that she has for you. So therefore, all of the things that she does, it's going to make you want to do. This is why people like to use the term. I don't like the term, but I spoil my woman. I can't stand that, because when you spoil something, you know it's no good. It's more. It should be more. The term should be, I don't want to say adoration, but regardless, the fact of the matter is that when she's seeking you, you're going to turn around and start giving her things. You're going to want to be a blessing to her. You're going to want to shower her with. And that's just another one just came to my mind too. He'll open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that you won't have room enough to receive. So as a man, it works the same way. You start showering your love unto that woman. You start gifting her with things, whether it's physically, mentally, spiritually. And when you start doing it in an intense manner, it feels like she doesn't have enough room to receive. It becomes so intense where she becomes what? Overwhelmed. This is how women become overwhelmed. And it's all centered around your presence. How is your presence? Is your presence good enough for her to seek you? Is she seeking you first? See, this is where the submission comes in. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and his righteousness will be added unto you. His namesake, your namesake, gets added to her. So, improve your presence, improve your character, improve your mindset, improve yourself spiritually, and she'll seek you. They're already technically seeking you. It's not in the manner that they think it is, because they're putting out their future husband, come find me. It's a call being sent out to you. And they're looking to find the one who has the presence. They're going to move to it. Females say they don't chase, but in their spirit, they're seeking you. They're looking for the one who has that presence that they can be in the midst of and yield themselves to. Because they desire to yield themselves to whoever it is that has that power and that powerful presence. And if your presence is powerful, she's going to do any and everything for you, regardless of what her friends say, regardless of what her mama say, regardless of what her dad say. They don't care who it is. They're going to forsake whoever it is, and forsaking all, another scripture. I'm telling you how this mess correlates so viciously and so harmoniously. It just meshes together perfectly. They're going to do it. So we thinking oh man, nah, they did this and they did this. It don't even matter. It don't even matter what their body count is. It's in there. Now I'm not saying that the body count should be overlooked. If she got a body count, you're gonna have to be like Buddy in the Bible, where the master told him to cut down the tree, and he said no. You're going to have to do a ton of work. It took him a while to get that tree right. He had to cleanse the ground, do a whole bunch of stuff to get that tree to start producing. It's the same thing when she got a body count. When that body count massive, you're going to have to do a lot of work. And quite frankly, if you ain't skilled, stay away from it. Because you ain't going to do nothing but damage the tree worse, damage that woman worse. Because somewhere down in there, she doesn't want to keep doing what it is that she's doing. But because there's a stronghold, there's a pull on her, she keeps doing it. We all do stuff like that. Once you start doing something once, twice, 3 times, you now form a habit. And habits are hard to break. 12-step program. Addictions. Once you get an addiction, it's hard for you to break that. So, sleeping around becomes an addiction. The whole sexual matter, it's an addiction. It feels. So that feeling is drawing. And if you're not willing to do the work, leave them alone. And doing the work for that is not for the weak. So if you think you can handle that, by all means. That ain't for everybody though. It's for a small selected few. Only a small selected few can play Captain Sage. And if that man do that, that's his business. That's a whole nother thing. Guys got to stop ragging other guys for doing that. That's his business. If he want to do that, Let them do it. At the end of the day, though, they're part of society. And how they do, if they go, there's a couple words that come to mind, but if they go unattended to and allowed to be able to do what it is that they're doing, run amok, they're going to influence others. So it's an issue one way or another. Even if it's not dealt with, it's a possible issue there. So, man, get your presence right, man. Get your presence right. Get your presence together. Get it together, man. Because there's a female, trust and believe, out there that wants to be in your presence. It's just the truth of the matter, man. However you want to slice it and dice it, they want to be in your presence. They want that. They want to feel secure. Your presence makes them feel secure. And there's nothing more the woman wants than to be secure. Even with her past traumas, she wants to be able to be secure from all of that stuff that she did, that it's like, okay, I did that. I did some of that stuff I didn't know. Some of that stuff I couldn't help. And then once I did start understanding certain things, I didn't have the strength and the knowledge in order to stop doing what it was that I was doing. That's a lot of them. And it's easy to fall in that trap. From the outside looking in, it's easy to judge. But from the inside, it's hard for them to break free. You have people that's overweight, don't want to be overweight, but it's hard for them to break free from that. It's pulling on them. People on drugs, it's pulling on them. People who got sex addiction, it's pulling on them. Even with a thief, he got away with it once. He want to do it again. It's pulling on them. It's steady calling. You know, we call that demons calling you. It's hard to break free. It's hard to get deliverance. You got to want deliverance. But then even when you get deliverance, you have to keep walking that thing out. But for some reason, we're in this era to where people who go and get deliverance, you want to put them back in where they were. All right, we understand. We understand. They got delivered. All right, look a few times. If they're working that thing out, all right, they're trying. Don't just automatically send them back. What are you sending them back for? Because trust and believe, your day is coming too. We all got a day. We all got a day where something's going to smack us in the face. And the easiest way for us to get smacked in the face is for us to lose a loved one. That's the easiest pool to get sucked into a hole that you could possibly have a hard time getting out. Because when that loved one gone that you really like and really love, that loss hurt you. It's going to hurt you. Do you want to be that same one that you pointing the finger at and you talking about and you saying that, oh, they ain't such and such and such, and then when you get down in that rabbit hole and that depression hits you in a nasty way and you got a hard time trying to get out? Do you really think you're gonna want somebody condemning you? Or well, you should just get up and dust yourself off. It ain't that easy. It takes a lot of willpower, mental fortitude, which is why in a lot of my previous videos, I was high on you building your mental state. Because at some point, we all gonna have a day. We all gonna have a day. But when you start shaping up your presence, when you shape up your presence, a lot of times you're not really worried about who else's other presence. Because you know, if you come into contact with somebody else who has a presence, it bounces off. It works. It works with each other. Or if you're not careful, it can clash and create a storm. But when you're smart, you're like, all right, cool. If I'm the wind, I'm just gonna die down here. I'm gonna go underneath while they doing that. And then whatever storm happens, it happens after we've gone away from each other, creating a whole nother different atmosphere for somebody else to sit in the midst of and then be on display. But man, get your presence together, get your character together, get your mind frame together, so you can be out here doing what it is that you need to do, and you're going to attract people. You going to attract people. You just automatically going to attract people. So with that being said, hit that share, hit that like button, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, make a donation. We gladly appreciate it. And most of all, man, be easy, be smart, be wise, and level up. I'm out.